Applied energistics is a mod that centers around converting matter into data. Refined storage is a mod that does exactly that, and in my opinion is even better than AA2 because it does not come with the concept of channels, thus allowing you to create crazy storage systems like this one, which allow you to store basically infinite data within a small, compact area. Refined storage is a work in progress mod, and some amazing features to come include autocrafting. Let's just see what you have to do to set up a basic refined. This mod does require redstone flux to function. I'll be using the 0 point extractor from Quantum Flux to do so. However, any redstone, any RF from any mod should work. The very first thing that you want to make is the controller. The controller uses quartz enriched iron, which is 3 iron and 1 quartz, and some silicon. The silicon is just nether quartz melted. These two are essential crafting and ingredients that will be used throughout the rest of this mod. The controller is crafted using some quartz enriched iron, diamond, silicon, and some redstone. You can then place down your controller next to your redstone energy source, and it will use about 10 RF. The next thing that you want to do is to make an inscriber. This mod doesn't call them an inscriber because this mod does away with the concept of presses. Instead, it uses a solderer. A solderer is made using 6 quartz enriched iron and 2 sticky pistons. You can place this down right next to your controller and it will receive power, or you can use a cable and place it like that. You will now need either gold, diamonds, iron, or silicon to make the basic processors that will be required to craft the advanced ones. To craft the basic processor, place them in the center of the solder. Once you have one of these 3 processors, you can then put it in a solder along with a piece of redstone and a printed silicon, which is just silicon in the solder. This will then give you the advanced basic processor, the improved processor, or the advanced processor, which use the diamond, the gold, and the iron respectively. These 3 are essential crafting components in the rest of the system. As you can tell, the controller will also tell you how much RF each machine in the system uses. You should take care that the source provides more RF or at least equal to the amount of RF that is being used per tick. The solderer and other machines will use RF passively even if an operation is not being done. To get yourself started to store something, you will need a 1K storage part. 1K storage part is crafted very simply. You can then use the 1K storage part to either craft a 1K storage block, which can then be placed in the world. It uses a machine casing which uses just this, or you can make a 1K storage disk. Storage disks go into disk drives. A disk drive allows you to store more data in the same block. However, a storage block occupies an entire block but gives you the same amount of storage. The next step in the line is you need a method to interface with the data. For this, you need a grid. A grid requires a destruction core or an annihilation core and a construction core. These are crafted using the processors that we previously crafted. You can now place the grid down and it will get power. You can then interface with the system and pull items out of it. However, you can then upgrade this to a crafting grid. A crafting grid uses the grid in its recipe. What a crafting grid allows you to do is to craft items in it. This is the biggest part of AA2 that most people enjoyed. So for example, if you have some oak wood in your system and you wanted to craft, say, a chest, all you would have to do is go to uses and then you can make as many chests as you need. This is the smallest possible refined storage system. To set up an extended refined storage system like this one over here, which allows you to store hundreds of thousands of data of items at the same time, all you would have to do is to set up something like this, where you keep on adding storage disks or blocks to your system. You could alternatively use cables that run out somewhere else and you could hide the blocks over there. To increase the ease of access, this mod has the wireless grid. The wireless grid is crafted using some quartz enriched iron, redstone, and some ender pearls. To use this, you do need to charge it. I thought of doing this using the qubit cell, however unfortunately that did not work. I do not know of any mod that adds an energetic infuser, but once that is there, you could use this as you would like. For this to work, you will need to sync up your wireless grid with your controller. Once you have your system set up, you need to shift right click your controller with the wireless grid in hand. As you can see over here, it's bound to a controller with the X, Y and Z as 17, 4 and 8. From this point, it can go 64 blocks up, down, left and right in a spherical radius. This does not this mod does not allow you to extend the range in any way. The first thing that I tried to do was to add an additional controller. The additional controller exploded. As this mod turns out, you cannot have more than one controller in the system. Let me just demonstrate that by getting some cables and another controller. If I were to stack up like this and to place another controller on the system, it explodes. So if you want to add more than one controller in the system. The next block that we come across is the interface. The interface can be used to put in items to your ME system or to take them out. To put in items, all you need is some form of putting in like a hopper or a pipe from some other mod. You can then put in all the items you want and it will slowly make its way into the system, as you can see over here. The second functionality of the interface is that it can export items to another system or to another inventory. For example, if you were to place a chest here with a hopper facing into it, you can then say the interface to export pork chops. And as you can see, the pork chops will enter. The next amazing block that's added is the external storage. The external storage makes available the inventory of any block that's in front of it. For example, I have two external storages here, both directed at chests. As you can see over here, I have one filled with diamonds and one filled with cobblestone, and it allows you to draw from both of them, as you can see over here. But sometimes you just don't want to interact or see that massive amount of cobble that you have, and you can just switch it off. This block here is a relay. It does not allow anything that is connected to it to interact with your system unless it is activated by a redstone signal. Alternatively, you can use this to change it to make it work only without a redstone signal or ignore the redstone signal completely. A nifty feature of the crafting grid is you can control or shift middle click an item directly into your inventory. However, if you have several items in your inventory of the same type, you can't shift triple click them back into the inventory. You have to click them in one by one. This is where the next block, the importer, comes in. You can have an importer which whitelists a certain item which is facing another inventory like this chest. You can then connect it to your system and it will import all the items from that chest or that inventory back into your system. You could use the importer and the exporter in conjunction to automate something like a quarry. The exporter works just like the importer. If you place down an inventory facing the exporter and whitelist a certain item, it will import all of the items in your system to that inventory. That covers the most important blocks in refined storage and allows you to do some crazy things with this mod.